let's take a look at a very cute and one of the smallest standard theatre lanterns. It's a PAR16 lantern, or otherwise known as a birdie in the theatre industry. I'm not sure where the name birdie came from, other than the fact it looks like a small bird perched on the grid, or it could be birdie is connected with, to do with a golfing term, because this is basically a small ParCan, and I think par for the course is a fixed multiple of strokes in a golf course. I'm not really sure. Anyway, the first versions of these were based on MR16 lamps, because initially the GU10 lamps, the 240 volt or 120 volt ones, weren't available. So they were based on the 12 volt MR16 lamps, and they produced a very crisp white light. And also because the 12 volt lamps have such a tiny little filament in them, it allowed a very controlled beam of light. You could choose the beam angle. You also have in the front a little position for a gel, so you can put a bit of theatre gel in for colouring that. It can also be used in the case of the GU10 lamps to limit the spray of glass when the lamps blow. But initially the 12 volt lamps, well, I'm going to plug this in now and just show you it lit. So I've got it plugged into the Cliff Quick Test. It came with an unstripped cable and quite a short cable, but that is just designed to be plugged in locally with a little suitable inline connector, or straight into a lighting bar. But if I turn this on, it has an LED lamp in it at the moment and produces a fairly decent beam. But the LED lamps aren't super perfect for it, because particularly, and also the GU10, the mains voltage ones, because they got a much wider beam angle, you can't get the same narrow, sharp beams you could get from the MR16, but it's still very useful. And these are used on sets for just creating a splash of light in an area, especially coloured light, just to fill in a part of the set, just to give contrast. Or they're used in display stands, or just sometimes just for decoration as well. So let me just turn this off and stick another lamp in. I'll show you the inside of it. It opens in pretty much the same way as a traditional ParCan. But instead of the normal housing, the horrible housing that's normally used for PAR64s, we have just the socket in here. And note that this is actually earthed. That's quite good. We'll take this apart afterwards and we'll see how they've earthed it. But it means that you could say, for instance, well, what's this one? This is blue. This one is an unknown colour. Let me find a suitable lamp. Let's put a green one in. So this is green, but it's got the three lenses. I'm not sure that'll affect the light output in terms of how much will be caught by the general sort of like the snout of the ParCan. The whole point of this is that because it's recessed into this barrel, it kind of like it stops spill. You can't see the lamp directly. It sort of basically just concentrates the light out into the area you want it seen. Let's turn this on again. Voila, who needs gel? We've got LED lamps that are much lower power. This is actually putting a lot more light onto the wall than that white one did. Interesting. You could also potentially use lamps like this, but I'm not sure again how the beam angle would be. And the one you couldn't really use, let me just go and grab one. One moment, please. That is great. That's putting out a lot of light. It's actually doing really well. It is putting out a good, decent splash of light. That is nice. Good colour as well. However, the GU10 lamps that have a large matrix of LEDs like this in the front, let me zoom down this. They're not so great, because they've got such a wide beam angle that a lot of it literally gets lost by lighting the side of the front of the light. So let's open this up. Eczema cream on its way. I've taken a reaction to something and it's just causing eczema flare up. That's why I got the glove on. It's not to protect me, it's to protect you from the ugliness of cracked skin. That happens. So let's open this up and take a look inside. We have a metal bracket here with a couple of screws going from the side. Let's wheak those screws out. Is there any cord grip? Is there any strain relief in this? There is. It's got one of those push-in cord grips that are just absolutely hellish to get back out again. They make it very difficult changing the flex. Hopefully that wouldn't need to happen, although having said that, that is literally the weakest point, is where the flex goes into them. So The earth is connected to one of the screws that is holding this on, and note that they've also got rubber grommets going onto the back of this. I wonder if there's a power rating on this. It just says 230 volt, 50 hertz, requires 50mm GU10 lamp. Does it have any maximum power rating? It doesn't. So I wonder how those rubber grommets will handle with the heat of using a traditional tungsten GU10 lamp. Although these days I would just use LED throughout. But these, it's got the little crimps here as well, the little closed end crimps, and that is it, a little earth crimp onto the side of that screw bracket. It's very simple. And the ventilation holes in the back and just the general open structure of this, even with a gel in place, because it's designed for a hot lamp, the LEDs will always be kept fairly cool in these. It's a smart light. This one came from CPC in the UK. Very neat. Always kind of liked the little birdies. Quite smart little lights. But there we have it. The smallest ParCan available. Not the smallest light. Ultimately, if you go online, you can find tiny little angleable lights like this for even more detailed lighting. But with this one, you can put a fairly decent power of lamp in, and it just basically gives a good splash of light in a controlled area where you need it. Quite a nice little light.